Paupers and urchins, dress yourself in your finest rags, hobble cheerfully along on your crutch, and ask not whence came the gruel, be thankful that gruel ye have.
Thank you, Jesus, for talk told to me.
Go get a job. Welcome back. I am Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Told to Me.
A half-numb meander through the Dickensian alleyways of prog rock in which Bag-O-Mystery McGill and Smothering the Parrot Sade will stare longingly through a steamy shop window at every single track that bricky rock band Jethro Tull ever produced. We will douse the Doane Perry pudding in brandy, grab a good gulp of the Giddings grog, and send Jonathan Noyce down the street to see if they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging in the window at the poultier's at the corner. Not the little prize, the big one. Oh, what an intelligent boy. A remarkable boy. Go and buy it. No, I am in earnest. Here is a shilling as fast as you may. All in the hopes that the spirits of Ian Anderson, past, present, and future, will stop visiting us in our bedrooms. Please, for the love of all that is holy.
Did you say something about drowning a parrot?
Smothering a parrot. Yes,
I
I looked up some Victorian slang.
Ah.
Bags o' mystery means sausages. And
I cannot think of a better, more apt slang than that.
No, it's very descriptive. And smothering the parrot is a slang term for drinking absinthe neat.
Oh.
Yeah, not recommended.
Did you look up why that, like what that's a reference to?
Yeah, it's green.
And like a green parrot?
Yep, parrot's green. Yeah, a lot of parrots are green.
What's the smothering part, though?
Well, you toss it back.
Oh, no, I got it here. Because most people would be wearing a hat with feathers. So to smother the parrot is to toss it back. You're dumping it on the parrot, on over the feathers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That is wonderful. Wow.
So, Nick.
Yeah.
A happy Festivus to you. How are you?
Wonderful solstice unto ye, my sweet son. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about all the festivities. I'm going to wear the vest that I wear once a year.
The festivities?
Yes. It's a double-sided vest that my mother made me, which both sides of which are perfectly appropriate for the Christmas.
Both sides of which are identical.
Can't tell which is which.
That's lovely. And it's just the vest, right? You don't wear anything
Nothing
else?
else.
Yeah.
No.
Baby Christmas tradition.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Before we jump into today's holiday song,
yes,
anything to discuss?
We do. I've got Marley waiting in the wing. He's got a little paperwork for him. Marley, if you don't mind.
Marley!
Oh, here's your papers, Master Nick.
Thank you, Marley.
And here's a little something from me to you to celebrate the holiday.
Marley, this is...
Go on.
Go
on, unwrap it.
I don't like the shape of this. Let me just...
Yeah. You said you always wanted another cat.
Marley,
I killed the neighbor's cat.
I know, this cat has a collar on it and everything. I can't... This is... I mean, I'm not... It's the thought that counts, I understand, but you need to go bury this cat immediately.
This is not what people want.
We cannot be caught with this cat.
I have a lot of evidence to hide this holiday season.
Go bury all of the cats, not in our yard, please.
Off I go! Ho, ho, ho! He's not a well man.
No, he's supposed to be on vacation. I don't know why he's still here. I insisted he take one.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the episode, we do have two little tidbits, thanks to Marley for delivering that. The first of which has to do with the episode that dropped just today in real time, Orion.
Oh, yes. I was trying to figure out what you meant by real time.
Real
It
time.
took me for a loop. Yes.
Presently.
Orion.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things that we will cover in They Talk Tull with me, but right now I wanted to share this in the main feed, kind of as a little teaser for those of you who may have been on the fence for getting into Patreon. This was shared in the Discord, and it's high, crazy quality content like this that you get in the Discord. So in Orion, we talked about how it was a shortened version of that song. They originally recorded a little bit longer of a version and chopped it all down.
Right.
J-Man shared the YouTube video. Joe, I should call him Joe. Joe shared the YouTube video for the full cut of this extended song. It's 9 minutes long.
Oh.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
I threw the link in the show notes if you want to watch that. It's just a link right to the YouTube video. By golly, is it good.
I'm so excited to see what the other 6 minutes of that song hold for us.
It's really nice. It's nothing lyrically. They do not explain the mysterious last verse, unfortunately. But musically, it's gosh darn good. It's super proggy. It's very good.
And that is the kind of thing that you will have everyday access to. This is just a taste. I mean, there are other revelations that we're not sharing with you today that come out of the Discord chat, and but this is a good example of the kind of fun thing that you have access to when you sign up for our Patreon.
Absolutely. There's daily conversation, media recommendations, podcast talk, Jethro Tull
No
news.
longer will you get to the end of our podcast and say in your pleading urchin voice, "Please, sir, may I have some more?
May I have some more Talk Tull to me?" All you got to do is jump onto the Discord.
That's right. Yeah. The streets are paved with Tull. I don't know. Okay.
The second item on the docket, we have ourselves...
Sir, sensors have detected another star in the sky.
Dear Lord, that's 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars.
We have ourselves a 5-star review.
How does this keep happening?
It's been a while. It's been a little bit of a dry spell, but thank you for this. And on top of that, included in this is a... a jumpstart. This is KW_77 via Apple Podcasts, United States of America. The title is Fun and Highly Informative.
Oh.
5 stars to quote, "I'm happy to hear people younger than I who are into Tull, because even as a guy in his 40s, I feel like a young Tull fan.
Oh.
More people need to hear their music, and this podcast is a great way to get into it. These guys have a great rapport and take a light-hearted approach toward the music. Even with the joking, they know the music and band history well, so this is a great blend of facts and fun. I'm a bit late diving into Jethro Tull, but am loving going through the back catalog along with the podcast. I first heard Tull as a kid, either via my dad's albums or on the radio. First song was probably Aqualung, Bungle in the Jungle, or Thick as a Brick back in the 80s. I got back into Tull recently due to listening to podcasts on other bands like King Crimson, Black Sabbath, and Frank Zappa, and kept hearing comments about Tull. I'm loving it. Thank you, KW.
That's delightful. And, you know, what a perceptive way of describing what we do. A lighthearted but somewhat knowledgeable approach. Could you imagine, Nick, if we had a heavy-hearted approach to this podcast?
I mean, sometimes we get a little morose and sappy, you know, depending on the song. Home, we
Sure.
get certainly weepy. But yeah, all All told, I think we always end on a high note, and there
Yeah.
are jokes in between because we're uncomfortable with our feelings, so we have to make jokes.
We learned early on to hide anything that smacked of seriousness. Well, thank you very much for the review and for the 5 stars.
Absolutely. Thank you, KW. Greatly appreciated. Glad you're a listener. Glad you wrote in. And speaking of smacking morose, let's get into the song of the day, shall we?
Let us indeed. And Nick, what is that song?
This song, well, just a little caveat. I know on some editions this came out as like a broadsword bonus track.
Yes.
I'm doing it here on the Christmas album. Put away
Yeah.
your emails. It's on the Christmas album.
Put that email back in your
Put it
pocket,
away.
sir.
Reholster that email. We are talking Jack Frost and the Hooded Crow.
Caw caw, peck peck. Let's have a listen.
Shiver, shiver. Omen, how do you feel about Jack Frost and the Hooded Crow?
I like it.
I like it a lot.
You know, Nick, we were kind of talking in the intro about Dickensian world, and we mentioned last week this festival that we both did, the street festival,
Yep.
the Dickens Street Fair. Last time I participated in that, I was exposed to some very low temperatures and also a song that I had never heard before called "In the Bleak Midwinter."
Oh, we did not sing that when I was there.
It was new to me as well, but it apparently is a real 19th century, turn of the century Victorian Christmas song.
Huh.
And I highly encourage you to have a listen. So, first of all, gorgeous, gorgeous song, lovely, lovely harmonies, an extremely dark outlook on
Very depressing.
on Christmas. Yes. That's what this song reminds me of, and I love that stuff. I don't like my drinks too sweet. I don't like my cookies too sweet. I don't like my cakes too sweet. And I don't like my Christmas songs too saccharine, Nick, as you know.
That I do. I mean, it's such a nice balance, you know. It's the savory with the sweet. There's so much about
The
Christmas.
bitter with the sweet as well.
Yeah, it's so much of Christmas is bright. It's flowy. It's very easy to get blinders on, you
Right.
know. But when you look past the cotton candy or the candy floss or the candy canes, if you will,
Once your optometrist surgically removes the cotton candy from your eye,
don't tell them how it actually happened.
he's-
Once you get past that, though, there's, and I think this is a very Ian way to look at Christmas, a realistic way, and seeing things the way they are really makes you appreciate it more, as
Yes.
opposed to like everybody's happy and everybody gets presents and like no,
Right.
like there is a lot more going on.
well, you know, and there's the whole culture, the whole discourse surrounding the war on Christmas that we have in our country and possibly in other countries as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, which is nonsense. But there's all this, around this time of year, people often say, oh, well, remember the reason for the season. You know, you have to remember, put the Christ back in Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm frankly all for that. But I think what is really worth remembering is the context in the Bible into which the Savior in Christian faith arrived. It wasn't just, oh my gosh, here's this wonderful baby who's going to do all these amazing things. It was, the world is in very, very rough shape.
Yes.
The king is killing all the babies. Things are not good.
He's literally called the Savior. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so into that very, very bleak context, this symbol of hope comes. And I think that's what's exciting about it, and what is, you know, potentially what we could stand to remember. And that's why I like In the Bleak Midwinter, because it's saying everything's bad, everything's very cold. It describes the cold in this incredible detail. And then it says, what can I possibly give to the Christ child? If I was a shepherd, I would give him a sheep. If I was a wise man, I would give him gifts, but I have nothing.
Yeah.
So what can I give him but my heart?
Right.
And it's a lovely sentiment.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like
Sentiment.
what did you say?
Sentiment.
Oh.
Sentiment.
Boy, you're having a hard time. It's a little bit like is Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
Basically, I have no gifts for him, so I'll give him what I can, and it's a bitchin' drum solo.
It's like the little drummer boy, but with a better tune.
Right. Yo, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If it's the Little Drummer Boy, if that drummer boy were Barrymore Barlow.
The medium-sized drummer boy.
Don Perry, the big drummer boy.
That's right. So, taking the wheel back to the song at hand.
Yes.
So, in answer to your question, I like the song because it is a Christmas song, which has got that note of bitterness, and I like it.
I agree.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think musically, the darkness comes through. There's a darkness to it. There's a slow kind of mournfulness to it, but it's not too heavy and plodding.
Right.
But that helps to balance that really kind of stark glimpse of reality of the content of the lyrics. But
That's right. And there's
I
some
do
lovely
like it.
musical contrasts that
Yeah.
are in there. We have what you described right from the beginning, that heavy drum beat with the big bass going.
Yeah. Yeah, the flute, drums, and bass. Yeah.
Right. And then pretty soon after that, we have the mandolin coming in with its much more gentle, lively, bright sound.
Oh, that mando is so good. I love how crisp that mandolin is. Very,
Yes.
very good. Yeah.
They keep it in the freezer when they're not playing it.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to. Or
Yes,
at least,
definitely.
if you can't do that, put it in the vegetable drawer
That's right. Or the basement.
or the base. Yeah. After that, we get the piano as well.
Sure.
We get piano, Andy on piano coming in. And then after that kind of heavy, rompy intro with kind of all of the instruments right at the get-go, Ian comes in singing. And this song fits his voice so well. So well.
Yeah, it does. It
I
does.
love how he sings this song. It's just high enough that it's like a memory of how high he used to get, but he's not forcing it. It's not painful to listen to.
It would be interesting to go through and look at the keys in which each of the songs throughout the history are played to see if there is a trend
Oh.
into a certain, if the standard keys change throughout the years. I suspect that, because we've seen that songs that used to be played in one key have been transposed into another key to make it easier for Ian to sing.
Right.
I wonder if at the time when he's now, writing new stuff, if he is consciously putting it in a different key that makes it more accessible for his voice where it's at.
As they are being written, you're saying.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised at all. And honestly, that makes the most sense. He is a smart musician. He would play to his strengths. And I mean, honestly, when you look at it, we've got the Christmas album. Then we had a couple of solo albums, right? But between Christmas album and the next one is Zealot Gene. We heard Shoshana Sleeping, and it sounded pretty good for his voice.
Oh, it did. But it definitely seemed tailored to his voice as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it has to be. It has to be. Yeah.
And it should be.
If he's expecting to go out on tour to play this album, to tour this album, there's
Right.
no way he's going to pull was it A, where he played it too high and had to sing high the whole time, and that's when he busted his voice. Yeah, I think he's learned from that. I definitely do.
There's some other fun treats in this song. We have, toward the middle, we have a lot of playfulness. We have all these kind of brief interludes. We have the shaker coming in for a
little
prominent
egg
moment.
Yep. Uh-huh.
and I think maybe just before that, we have a quick little flute turn followed by a guitar turn.
Yep, Martin
followed by a
rips.
little quick flute breakdown that goes into the shaker.
We have jingle bells in there too. A couple of
We
jingle
have jingle
bells.
bells. The organ or the synth is mimicking this very deep brass, almost kind of bassoon sound, which is really fun.
Yeah, we definitely get some keyboard horns in there, and it's nice. It's a fun little touch, and it's got like in my mind, it's definitively a keyboard horn, like it's a synth horn.
Yes,
but
yes.
it lends a certain, I don't know, like cheesy nostalgia feel to me in terms of a Christmas song, you know?
Yeah, I don't hate it at all.
No, it's not terrible.
Little bells, maybe they are synth bells, but
Yeah, the big like tubular bells kind of thing
yes,
almost. Yeah.
tubular bells.
Yep.
I believe that the song is mostly in 5/4 time, which gives it that slightly disquieting feeling to it,
Okay. You never quite catch your breath.
right?
There's always that kind of extra bump in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like riding a horse that has 5 legs.
Yeah, I mean, he's very popular with the ladies, but it's very difficult to ride on.
Keep Catherine the Great away. That's apocryphal.
It is.
Yes. She definitely did not have 5 legs.
And then there is a bit of a breakdown where Ian comes in with, I don't know, I guess you'd call it the second verse or after the chorus. It's not quite clear in terms of construction here, but there is a point where Ian comes in a cappella, completely a cappella, singing 3 parts.
Yes.
There are three layered voices in there. Sounds pretty good.
Typically, I mean, it's not a barbershop quartet.
No.
But
No.
it never promised that it would be.
No, we love it for what it is, and it's nice. I mean, it's a step above traditional Ian harmonizing, but it's really nice. It's really nice.
And it does kind of give that, maybe I'm just totally putting my interpretation on it, but it does kind of give me that feeling of the fates or the judgments watching you. You know, it almost
interesting,
is
yeah.
like the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future.
See, I saw it more as like a Greek chorus or like a
Totally.
a chorus. The Greek chorus playing with the caroler chorus, you know, because
Yeah.
they're not like perfectly harmonized. So it's like these people walking the streets caroling, singing nice, but they're not professional. You know, they haven't been doing this for 30
No,
years. So there's
they're
kind of like a
Greek.
tweak. They're Greek. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I see that. Yeah.
I love that. I love that interpretation. I think that's really fun. It's almost like the ghosts are like all of our ancestors who had really, really awful Christmases because it was like during World War II
Yeah,
or they were
right.
dying of the plague, and their Christmas was they got to think about God.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we didn't get the toy truck that we wanted.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like all of them being like, you should really get your priorities straight.
Yeah. Figure it out. Yeah.
And then at the very end, we have a fun little trio of flute treats. Ian does quick riffs on God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen,
Yep.
We Three Kings,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end, little classic beret.
Just a little lick of the beret at the very, very end as they fade out. Yeah, and that's it musically. It rounds it out. It's a pretty raucous tune. I love the instrumentation. Again, like last week we said, the mixing is so crisp and clear. You can hear pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Jonathan Noyce was really the only one that didn't stick out to me. The bass wasn't super prominent, not like we heard in the previous tracks. But there is a lot going on in this song.
I remember an interview with him, which I think it was Noyce who, and it was from some tour. It was from a DVD that we bought at a concert, so it was definitely in this period. And Noyce describes himself as being a stealth bassist.
Oh yeah, I remember you
Do you remember
saying
that?
that. I think you told this before, but I don't remember. And maybe it was the last Christmas song because that's the last time we heard Jonathan Noyce.
It could well be. I only, as you know, I only have 3 stories and 4 anecdotes.
That's true.
And I just repeat them.
But maybe it was in response to our endless gushing over John Glascock, and then And then just the comparison of
Yeah, it
his
could
type
be.
of bass playing. But yeah, but he was pretty prominent in the previous ones. But yeah, he does kind of sit in the back on this one.
Yeah, well, and the mix is awesome. I mean, it's really fun. It has overall a very dark tone to it.
Yeah.
A little bit ominous, especially with the way the tune is constructed. It starts out in that minor and then switches to the major at the very end,
Yeah.
and then whips you back to the minor. Nick, shall we talk about lyrics?
Let's talk about Jack Frost first, or maybe
Absolutely.
A Hooded Crow.
Why don't we start with Jack Frost?
Okay.
Since that comes first in the title. Nick, what is Jack Frost?
Jack Frost is a TV special from 1979. It's a
Oh,
Rankin
God.
Bass animation.
I regret.
It is narrated by a groundhog named Pardon Me Pete. It had Buddy Hackett in it.
Huh?
It's one of those classic Christmas movies. Yeah.
Sure,
No, I'm sorry.
sure.
I'm sorry. Let me fix that. Jack Frost is a 1997 film.
Oh
It's
no!
a comedy
please,
slasher.
Please, no more. No more.
that
You're
was
bleeding
no,
out my
okay.
ears.
Okay. Jack Frost is a 1998 film featuring Michael Keaton. It's a fantasy comedy film. He played the title character, a father and is a musician that got killed in a car accident,
Right.
only to be brought back to life when his son played his magical harmonica.
I hate everything about my life right now. We could go slightly further back to
Three of Frank Zappa's 4 children appear in the film.
Oh my! I don't know what to do with that information.
Dweezil, Ahmet, and Moon Unit.
He named a kid Moon Unit.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I'm super jealous.
Dweezil and Moon Unit and Ahmet. Yeah. Jack Frost is a personification of frost and ice and snow. Sleet winter, freezing cold. He's a variant on Old Man Winter, basically.
Yeah, and there are analogous folk creations or legends or figures throughout the world.
Yeah. He's essentially the winter version of Jack and the Green.
Yeah, what an amazing way to think of it.
Yeah.
If Jack and the Green is in charge of each little leaf that sprouts, Jack Frost is in charge of each little icicle that forms and each patterning of fractal freezings which appear on your windscreen.
And each little snowflake.
And each little snowflake, including me. And at various points, he's had a more mythological, or a more epic, or then at later times a more mischievous personality.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, what about a hooded crow? What is a hooded crow?
Hooded crow is Corvus cornix, is also called a hoodie, called a Scotch crow, a mist crow, a dolmen crow, depending on your location in Europe. They are a Eurasian bird species. They're corvids, so they're super smart. They are white body with a black head and black wings. They look like a white bird kind of got dipped in some ink. They look
Yeah.
very cool.
And it looks like their range is all over kind of the eastern part of Europe and then the very northern parts of England and Scotland.
Yeah. They are genetically very similar to the carrion crow, but definitively different.
Right. And like the carrion crow, it is a scavenger, which I think is relevant to this song.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a bird that Ian would be seeing, would be familiar with. It's a bird that sticks out in the environment. It will blend in with its white body, but you'll see those splotches of black.
The little head bobbing
Yep.
around, right?
So it is slightly iconic in that regard, that it is, especially if it's in terms of its migratory patterns. If you're seeing it during that snow time, it could be something of a holiday bird. Like for us, we have all sorts of birds upstate New York in the winter, but the ones that I can think of that stick out the most are literally the ones that stick out the most. The cardinal with that bright flash of red, the blue jay with the flash of blue on that field of white.
It also seems that in the winter, the distribution of the hooded crow tends southerly. So it is a visitor to southern England in the winter.
Okay.
So it could potentially be a bird that depending on where you lived in England, you might see only during the winter
Yeah.
and therefore associate with it.
Oh, I got something for you. In Celtic folklore, the bird appears on the shoulder of a dying Cú Chulainn. Wee plastic coolins for you.
Yeah. So,
So-
there's a little bit about the figures in the song. Shall we dive into the lyrics?
Yeah. Overall, I want to go back to the Greek chorus. Overall, this feels like this is one of those instances where Ian is pulled back and has that kind of omniscient narrator feel. And it may be one of those ghosts of Christmas, etc., to have that knowledge, to have that greater knowledge to impart a lesson.
I love that interpretation, and I don't think it's wrong,
But
but I think that the text supports a slightly different interpretation.
okay.
Through long December nights we talk in words of rain or snow, while you, through chattering teeth, reply and curse us as you go. Why not spare a thought this day for those who have no flame to warm their bones at Christmas time? Say, Jack Frost. He is speaking in the voice of Jack Frost and the Hooded Crow, because
Oh.
the first line is, through long December nights we talk,
Yeah, right.
while you, the listener, are cold and say, bugger off, Jack Frost.
Right. And Jack Frost and the Hooded Crow would not be cold.
No, because one of them literally is
Yeah.
the cold, and the other one is a bird with feathers.
I'm sure they are cold, but you don't
Yeah.
think of
Cold-hearted.
it in that anthropomorphization of animals, you know.
Right.
Okay, so this is more of a not a fable per se, but maybe a parable kind of thing.
Something like that. I think
Yeah.
it's a personification of winter
Yeah.
speaking to us as we're passing through it,
Yeah. Okay.
running on our way to dip into the closest Starbucks to get our hands around a warm pumpkin spice latte.
Well, it'd be a peppermint mocha.
A peppermint mocha is what I meant. Sorry, I'm a bad white girl.
You are. I've been telling you that for years. You keep asking me to punish you, and I don't know what that means. Yeah, and we get into references of winter's really hitting because the last broad oak leaf has fallen. We
Yeah.
beg, consider this. There's some who have no coin to save for turkey, wine, or gifts. No children's laughter round the fire, no family left to know. So lend a warm and helping hand, say.
Personages, these characters, the guardians of the moral approach to Christmas.
Yeah, it is really fascinating
You know, why is it them?
because Santa is trite and commercial.
Right.
And who else would personify it in a spiritual manner? Who else would you have personify it?
Well, it could be. I mean, there's so many saints. You could have the Virgin Mary. You could have Jesus himself coming down and being like, hey, this isn't all about my birthday party.
But would Ian play that way?
No. And that's what makes this so brilliant, is that this is connected to his whole, he's returned in a way to the roots that were germinated in Songs from the Wood.
Yeah.
It really is. I think your comparison to Jack and the Green is absolutely accurate, that this is the natural world saying, all spirituality aside, remember that as warm as you might be, or as mildly inconvenienced by us as you are, there are others who are dying in the streets.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there is even something related. So, with the Hooded Crow being a carrion bird, is it almost like, hey, the pickings for me out here are awful lean because the poor people who live in the streets don't even have any turkey. So if you give them turkey, I'll be able to pick the bones.
Wait,
The crow,
pick the bones of like the discarded turkey carcass, or pick the bones of the people who ate just enough to have meat on their bones and then died of being frozen.
either way. But traditionally, in a lot of mythologies, the crow is a trickster spirit, and
Yeah,
so its motives are not necessarily completely altruistic.
It's true. And Jack Frost is also
A bit of a trickster.
portrayed as a pixie character. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. But it does seem that they are approaching from a certain removal and a certain moral high ground there.
Yeah, but also maybe in the same way that gangsters do. This song to me almost is seeming like a bit of a shakedown. If we look at the line, as holly pricks and ivy clings, your fate is none too clear. The Lord may find you wanting, let your good thing like, hey, nice festive holiday season you got here with your family and your security. It would be a shame if something was to happen to all of that.
Hey, I got all this Christmas cheer fell off the back of a truck. You want some? To finish that, all homely comforts blown away, and all that's left to show is to share your joy at Christmas time. Regardless of what you have, if you share your Christmas joy, your spirit, your good heart, whatever, if you're sharing that, that is the truest possession.
Right. And if you do share that might be the difference between the person who does actually hold your fate continuing to favor you or not.
Right. Yeah. I think you might be right. I think it goes back to, gosh, it must have been a Passion Play where we were talking about your soul is weighed. What is it? Your soul is
against all the good deeds you ever did?
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what this kind of feels like to me.
There's also, the perspective of Jack Frost and the Hooded Crow have seen everything. They are kind of, I don't want to say immortal, but they are timeless in a way, right?
Yeah.
They are entities which have seen this cycle thousands of times. And so they know, oh yeah, you have all this comfort and fortune and home and warmth. That's temporary. That can be taken away at a moment's notice.
Right.
So you don't really have it. But what can't be taken away is your joyfulness.
Right. Yeah. So stop relying on the material for your happiness. Make your own happiness, and then you'll be
and then share it.
Then you'll never not be happy.
Right.
And
exactly.
then share that warmth with others. Yeah.
Right. If you've got material wealth, lend a helping hand and share it. If you don't have material wealth, which you may not in the next couple, that may change tomorrow.
Who knows, right?
You can share your joy.
Right. Yeah.
If you haven't got a penny, a half penny will do.
If you haven't got a
halfpenny,
then God
get back to the
bless
back
you.
of the restaurant and start washing dishes, you broke ass scum.
This ain't a charity.
What?
It's Paradise Steakhouse.
More like the Purgatory Steakhouse.
Oh.
Hey.
Washing dishes. I just as I finish the last dish, a new load comes in.
You want some Inferno fries? Oh, there's a Pope in there. How did that get in there?
Somebody put out a cigarette butt in there. Hope you enjoy Ash.
Nick McGill.
Goodness me. Oh, man. If this song were a Christmas cookie,
Ooh.
what kind of Christmas cookie would it be? Because there are all sorts of Christmas cookies. My aunt used to make, for every Christmas holiday at my grandmother's, my aunt used to make a platter just like bigger than I was with, had to have been at least a dozen different types of cookies.
A dozen.
A dozen. Oh, yeah. I mean, it was not like one of each. It was like bunches. None of them were good, but there were a lot of them. So what kind would this be?
This would be a gingerbread style cookie, perhaps with some delicious icing.
Okay.
That you find mysteriously in your pocket when you are traveling, trying to get home for Christmas, and you get stranded in the airport and are spending Christmas Eve alone in some kind of awful international airport, and suddenly there's this really good cookie that you just happen to find, and you're not sure how it arrived?
Do you eat it?
Yeah.
You would eat the mystery cookie?
Well, I mean, if it was like a whole cookie and it was wrapped up, yeah, I'd eat it. I wouldn't eat half a cookie that I found on the floor.
Okay, as long as that's clear. Yeah.
No, I draw the line somewhere. It's the floor usually.
It's right above the floor.
He's the 3-inch rule.
Okay, I'll take it. I like it.
What is the most, how can I even phrase this? What is the most like pathetically delightful holiday moment that you've experienced? The sort of thing that like genuinely warmed your heart and was not like what would you say? Have you ever experienced the true spirit of Christmas?
So I've got two partial answers that I hope will fulfill as a full answer for you.
Yeah, I'll take parts.
So
I'm gonna break your stories down to scrap.
you get less if it's in pieces, but I'll cut you a deal.
Okay.
So back when I was younger and would go spend time with my grandmother, there was a time when I think it was only once or twice that we went to midnight mass at my grandmother's church in Oneida, and it is this massive Gothic, just absolutely stunning cathedral, and there are practically no lights on, thousands of candles, and
Yeah, massive fire hazard.
aside from the mass part being boring, the music was gorgeous. There's a great big organ, and that was one of the fondest memories I have of being in a church is just how atmospheric it was, and it was really
Sure.
it was the closest I got to understanding the connection to a church in that moment. I think in those experiences, because I get it. A great big stone building that is really impressive and the literal definition of awesome.
Yeah,
I get how people can be swayed.
Come for the candles, stay for the guilt.
Stay for the crackers and the guilt. The other is when I used to drive around Syracuse for my job in my truck, you would see plenty, and we would, the way to get from the shop to all of the different jobs that we would go to, you'd be on the major highways. And
Sure.
on nearly the corners, the exits of all of the major highways, you would see people with signs.
Yes. Panhandling.
So, no, isn't panhandling specifically, is that just begging?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought panhandling was like selling shit.
Oh, no. Panhandling because you hold the pan by the handle and you ask for
Oh.
coins to be put into it.
Yeah. Okay, so they were
Asking for money. They were asking for help.
asking for money, and it got to a point where Ray and I decided we made bags. We got vinyl bags. We filled them with socks, T-shirts, some money, like resources for
Wow.
go to in Syracuse, bottles of water, toiletries, some like protein bars and stuff. And I had like 8 altogether. We put together 8 of them, and every time I would hand one out of my window, they expect like a couple of bucks,
Sure.
but every time I would hand that, like just the shock and surprise and gratitude that I would see was just. They say that there's no true charity that can be altruistic because it feels good to do that. It feels good to be charitable. But like just knowing that I could do that for someone, even in the briefest of moments. I know that the money's not going to last. I know that the bottles of water aren't going to last. But like I get that. I see that. There, but for the grace of God go I. So have this kind of go bag, please.
Well, and I think that really what you were offering them was a recognition of their humanity. I think that's why the holidays are so tough on people often, because being down and out is hard enough just from a practical level, but then there's there's the factor where it's dehumanizing, and when the rest of the world seems to be all loving each other and expressing how much they value each other, I imagine that those feelings can be even more greatly intensified. And so an act like that is really awesome. I'm totally not going to tell the story anymore about how I got very drunk in England on Christmas Eve and stole a traffic cone.
Is that your true Christmas story?
That's yes. Well, I'll save that for next year when you don't show me up with your heartfelt cheer.
another Christmas song, so you can
Oh.
you can save it for then.
There we go.
We've got the last Christmas song of the season and the last track of the year. Very appropriate. It is Last Man at the Party.
There we are, the last podcast at the party. Well, until next week, if you are feeling moved by the Christmas spirit, you can give us something that acknowledges our humanity. And that is a positive review or a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And if you're feeling like you want to behave in a way which is not at all altruistic and will only benefit you, you can subscribe to our Patreon, which will get you all of the selfish treats that you secretly want. Like, Nick, what?
2 additional podcasts, Outtake Tull to Me and Talk Tull with Me.
Yeah, you glutton.
Access to our Discord.
You greedy weirdo.
Eventually, one day, I'm sure we'll do another live listening party.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll time it for the release of Zealot Gene. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
That'd be really fun.
I doubt we'll be able to manage that because we can't stop all of our listeners from listening to that album until we can make the
We
time.
can all listen to it together, even if it's not the first time.
That's valid. That's true.
It's still special, Nick, even if it's not the first time.
I mean, that's what I've been told many times, but
That's right.
I don't even know what that means. Until next week, dear sweet listeners, I am the crow with the little knit hat on, Nick McGill.
I am the ivy clinging desperately to your walls, hoping that January never comes, Omen Sade.
We are the holly pricks, the feckless momes.
And this is the last broad oak leaf desperately hanging onto the tree. Talk Tull to me.
Remember, if you wish, this is just a Christmas song.
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes down the street. Here, looking fine. Oh, ooh, yeah, you're chilling him, Jack. You're chilling him. Oh, yeah, get right under the neck. Get under the scarf. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Pull up that Burberry scarf. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's that stuff that comes off the goats, isn't it? Off the goat belly. Angora.
He's gonna need... Isn't Angora a bunny?
Hey, I don't know anything. I'm just a crow.
Boy, in 10 years, he's gonna sell that scarf, and he's gonna have to pay for all of the dental work. Oh. Crow, look at that one. Look at that
Yeah.
one. Those heels are very expensive.
Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. You know what I see in the future? In about 3 minutes, she's gonna step into what she thinks is a very small puddle, but actually it's gonna be about 6 inches deep. She's gonna ruin him. Yeah.
She'll take her god's name in vain.
She sure will. She sure will. Oh, look at the little pretty pony princess. Oh, yeah, she's gonna get exactly what she wants for Christmas. Except her father's love. It's a terrible time for everybody. She's gonna need years of therapy. Years.
Oh, look at that urchin family.
Oh, my God.
They've got nothing to their name but a single match.
I hope they don't drop it or something. That'd be terrible. Hey, wait, Jack.
What? What is it, Crow?
If they don't have any Christmas dinner, what am I gonna eat for Christmas after dinner?
Well, I'd say in about a week that little one's gonna be perfectly ripe for you.
Oh, human veal.
Crow, do you think that family is the happiest family because they have each other?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you were saying. I had my head in a Starbucks jar. I had my head in a Starbucks bag. I got a lemon pound crumb. Oh, so tasty. What were you saying?
I was asking if those poor people were the happier ones because they only have each other and that's their happiness. That's their gift to one another. As opposed to those really rich people with designer handbags and very fancy cars.
That's pretty dark, man. Have you been hitting the sauce again?
That's what I'm here for. I keep things real, Crow.
You know, Jack, I don't know about that. I don't know who's happy. I don't know who's sad. I don't know what a designer handbag is. I don't know what a car is, except they're those things that I have to attack all the time because it looks like one of me sometimes. If I look at the wheel, it's too much chrome on it. But I tell you what I do know. Jack, listen to this.
Crow, what is it? What do you know?
Sorry, I had another crumb from the Starbucks bag. I know that no matter what happens tonight and who gets presents, who doesn't get presents, who's gonna have this be the last Christmas on Earth, there's one thing that remains constant, and that is that Talk Tull to me is a proud member of the Feckless Gnomes. Oh my god, a crumb! It's a crumb festival over here! Get this trash can with me! Woo!
Oh, is that French fries?